Theirs or ours, freedom can only be bought with blood. That's the kind of statement that the anarchist recognizes can only come from a statist and only serves a certain particular mindset, a mindset that suggests that you are not capable as an individual of making good choices, and that because we're not capable of making good choices as individuals, that as a society we can't make good choices, and therefore only certain people should be in control of certain aspects of society and dictate the way the rest of us do things. But what that really is, it's the tagline for a brand new comic called Free Planet. I'm looking at the Ashcan of it here, so there's still plenty of time to hit your LCS and get this one ordered up for you. It's brand new from Aubrey, Sitterson, and Daughtry. It's on Image. It's a big one, and there's a lot to unpack in here. There's a lot of story on the 20 pages. There's a lot of art. There's a lot going on in the art. The art is detailed and just really quality, and so you have to stop and you have to look around and you have to see what's going on in the image to get the full story, even though it's packed with a story, because there's a lot of backstory, there's a lot of characters. It's big. They're setting up something kind of big here, and so far it's working. It's the future, and the usual authoritarian alliance of planets is happy to turn its attention away from this 3-year battle with a former member planet that now is the first free planet. They're calling themselves Lutheria, or at least the guy who was in charge of the war, and is now stepping down. The wartime leader, he's now stepping down, but this is when enters the Freedom Guard, and they're heroes of the war, people who were involved in the war, at least the initial iteration of this Freedom Guard was, and they sort of sit above everybody, kind of like the Justice League. They sit up on up in space on a space station and just sort of watch what everybody does, and it only takes months after the war ends, after the alliance there turns its back on them, on the planet, and gives up on this rebellion and lets them be their free planet. And that's really where this story begins, is trying to figure out how you take an entire planet of people with different means and different ideas and limited resources, and it was dependent on the system, and how do you set it free? How does it set itself free? How does it work together? How do we build the roads? These are all questions that the anarchist gets oftentimes when he's asked about, well, what do we do in the absence of the state? And the short answer is we do exactly the same thing that we do now, except there's not a special class of people who are given permission, legal permission. They've given themselves legal permission to use political and social offenses to rob, cage, and murder these opinions. Just to rob, cage, and murder the rest of us. And that's what government is to the anarchist, but what people are is us out here every single day on the ground doing what we do, getting along, making things work, building things in spite of being robbed and caged and murdered by this special class of people called the political class. Brand new Free Planet. You can still order this one in your local comic shop. It comes out on May 7th. This Ashcan was great. I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes, because it is it's the kind of story that obviously would interest me, because I'm interested in what other people think about how a free planet, how a free society can form and exist, particularly out of an existing society that has spent so much time under authoritarian rule. It's available in your local comic shops on May 7th. Free Planet. Hit me up at amazingfantasies.com if you don't have a comic shop around you. Otherwise, visit us in the store here in Topeka, Kansas sometime at Amazing Fantasies.